Hello guys, Sir Grindalot here with a video about grinding and more specifically about my grinding strat. And what do I mean by that? Let's say that I made a few assumptions, because I cannot say that they were discoveries, but they are assumptions. And I will start to play while I explain to you the situation. Let me find a good key. This one is not bad. Okay, so the stuff that I'm looking for, well, there are a couple of very specific pieces of gear, like the Astral Sword and more Chaos Rings and stuff like that. But in general, I'm looking for enchantments, which means I need golden keys. So I was looking for a way to improve my chances at getting golden keys. And having a look back at all my recent grinding session, plus some that I did off camera that I didn't record, the two assumptions that I made are the following. The first is that Magic Find influences the drop rate of golden keys. The reason why I made that assumption is that with very high Magic Find, and I'm talking north of 25,000, I started to see way more golden keys than I was doing before. And the second assumption that I made is that the quality and the rarity of the enchantments is not based on Magic Find. The reason for that is similar. On an average run in any dungeon, when I have more than 32,000 Magic Find, on the ground I see almost nothing of blue or yellow color, which means that rare and uncommon or whatever they're called items are almost non-existent, and as you can see on the ground, the vast majority of drops are purple, even now that I'm at just 17,000 Magic Find. And I had a look back at what kind of enchantments I found with 32,000 Magic Find, and there were a lot of blue and yellow. So either I had roughly 20 extremely unlucky runs that were completely off the charts in terms of randomness, or, which I consider more likely, the rarity of enchantments is not influenced by Magic Find. And so it's just a matter of grinding as many as possible in order to improve the chances that the game will finally decide to drop a purple one with +1 or +2 to all skills. So these kind of assumptions, assuming they are correct, and this is another assumption, led me to slightly change my farming setup. You may have noticed that I'm going much faster than usual clearing the dungeon. This is because I'm carrying with me the Demon Bone infused in a Demon Bone with Sapphires on it, and Astral Shield infused with a Dahiya helmet with a very good roll, and infused with Sapphires. This gives me pretty high DPS for this stage of the game, and it allows me to very quickly clear the beginning of the dungeon, like the first 100%. In most dungeons around this level, mobs tend to die in one or two hits of Magic Orbit, and touching multi-missile once or twice clears the rest, so the process from 1 to 100% is very quick. Which means I get to kill more Magisters in a shorter amount of time. Now, when I get to the Magister, as you may have seen from the first key that I cleared, I swap gear. I go back to where the Magic Find one. With the Grid and the Demonic Guard infused with Axanidia, I am at 32,000 Magic Find. And that, in my experience, improves the chances of getting a golden key. Not by a lot, it's still a fairly rare drop, but there is definitely a difference in the drop rate between having high and low Magic Find. So I want to do everything I can to try to increase the chances of getting golden keys, because it's honestly the thing that I'm struggling the most. Of course, running key dungeons, the Forgotten Realms, at 17,000 magic find is not bad at all. That's a pretty good amount of magic find, and I found a decent amount of legendary items, just not as many as when I ran the full dungeon with a 32,000 magic find. And I decided to move to this strat because it allows me to quickly farm Australian points and quickly farm keys and hopefully golden keys. So I decided to put gear in the background for a moment, and when I have some time, especially during my commute to work, which is when I don't record my gameplay, I started leveling up and going through reincarnation levels with my warrior. Because once the warrior, which I'm playing like a mage, reaches the 5th level of the magician's tower at reincarnation, whatever it is, that is probably what will give me the best chance at finally finding that bloody astral sword. Who knows, maybe in the next day or two I will find it on my mage and I will put back the warrior on hold. But so far this strategy has been working okay for me. I believe it's very difficult to balance drop rate for the items, drop rate for keys, golden keys, and Australian points. Because when I want to farm Australian points, the 5th floor of the Magician's Tower is by far the best spot. Because with simply Magic Orbit and full Magic Find, I can one-shot everything with the mage, and I just walk around the area, kill everything, reset. All those elite mobs die like nothing. Lot of Australian points, let's go boys, no worries. But the drop rate is okay, and golden keys, no. I found one on a video that I recorded a day or two ago while I was on the 5th floor of the Magician's Tower. Other than that, the drop rate is really low, because I mean, you get a Magister every few maps and the drop rate is so low that it's not something you can count on. While here, clearing dungeons as quickly as I can while still having a reasonable magic find, I believe it's a good balance between all the things that I'm trying to achieve in the game right now. Now, I am 100% sure that now that I mentioned this new strat, either of these two things will happen. Someone will come up and say, oh, actually this is the strat that everyone has been using since day one and you were the only one not using it, and I will feel upset. Oh, I'm very happy that I managed to do this jump. And or this strat actually works and it's fairly not necessarily new, but it was a good idea on my part, and they will patch it in a week. And like they will add the new stuff, and everything that I'm doing now will be basically worthless. Oh, and another thing that I'm absolutely sure is that no matter how many key dungeons I will run in a while, right now, I will not be getting a golden key. I have, I believe, 4 or 5 in the bank. I managed to farm in a fairly short amount of time, probably a couple of hours. But now that I'm recording a video about it, no chance. No chance. I also have some, let's say, real stuff issues to attend in, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, so I will only be able to do this dungeon, maybe the following one, if they're not too long. This one appears to be very long, very, very long. Let's see. I'm going at full speed with fairly high damage. I mean, this damage is not insane, but I only swapped a couple of pieces from my Magic Find setup for 2 on my DPS setup. I could go much faster than this by changing chest, rings and other stuff, but I still want to have a reasonable amount of Magic Find because there is still some gear that I'm looking for, so in the off chance that I could add some nice stuff to my backpack and consequently to the bank, I'm glad with the current amount of damage. Like Magic Orbit hits between 5.5 and 6 billion depending on the mob. Multi-missile is 23 billion and change. So yeah, DPS for this kind of content is absolutely fine. To do some backtracking, it's going to waste a bit of time, which is not ideal, since this is the first time in a while that I play with a timer on my head. Let's see what we can do. I really hope we can complete this dungeon and another one. Of course, I'm not expecting a golden key. Not at all. I believe in the last 2 farming sessions that I did, I was getting a golden key maybe every 15 dungeons, more or less. Being able to farm dungeons very, very quickly is what made the biggest difference for me. Regular key. I believe this next one will be the last one, so let's pick one with a decent roll, at least on the drop rate. This one, the drop rate is only 1.4, but the health bonus of the mobs is just 1.1, so everything should die extremely quickly. Yeah, almost everything gets one shot or close to one shot by Magic Orbit, which makes for a fairly smooth dungeon. It's a pity because it's a lot of monsters, but I'm not looking for you guys. I'm looking for the guy at the end of the dungeon. It would be great if this, which is the last dungeon that I'm running today, will give me a golden key. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. It would mean 20% hit rate or drop rate, let's say. And no, that's not the drop rate of the golden keys. Not in the current patch, at least. I heard the drop rate of the keys was nerfed significantly in recent times. I don't know how it was before. Let's pray to the RNG gods. Come on, give me golden key! No. Well, the strat didn't work very well this time, but I ran, I believe, 5 dungeons in 10 minutes, more or less. At this speed, and swapping the Magic Find gear for the DPS gear as I faced the Magister helped me a lot. I want to double check how many keys I have in the bank from my last farming session. I cannot remember if it's 4 or 5. Let's have a look. Last page. 5. Foolishness, Ancient Tragedy, Sand Empire, Summit, Ancient Tragedy. So, yeah, I got 5 keys in a very short amount of time following this strategy. And I believe that I will follow it for a while, because I still need to farm a lot of Australian points for my character, like endless amounts of Australian points. This strategy gives me a good shot of golden keys and therefore enchantments, so I quite like it. And if you're looking for the same kind of stuff that I'm looking for, I hope this small strategy will help you. Unfortunately, I was not able to make it work live. I'm sure that if tomorrow morning I do a quick farming session, I will get a couple in half an hour while I'm not recording, but That's life. So this is a Grindalot. I will be checking out. Wish you all a happy grinding, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye guys, take care.